couple years ago in the 116 game. He went minus 4,500 on Zach Edey and the Purdue Boilermakers, and they, of course, ended up in a historical upset at the hands of number 16 seeded Fairleigh Dickinson. And you were taking all kinds of incoming on Twitter because you lost this. I remember there was like a close call right after it where you did it again on some other team.
DePaul, Seton Hall,
That's right.
or no, it was Villanova. Yeah.
But your point is, forget everybody. Maybe you didn't use the word forget. The math is the math, and the math works.
So, public service, don't bet more than 5% of your sports betting bankroll on any bet, no matter how good it is. So don't go crazy on this.
So you are laying what today exactly on Duke?
I laid my average is like dollar cost average is like minus 8,200 on Duke.
Okay,
minus 8,200. I'll lose the same as I lost on Purdue, which was a lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to have him on the show. So much of a pleasure that he has his own intro. Fezzik Fridays with Steve Fezzik.
Whether it's at the sportsbook or anywhere else in the casino, he's always helping us find an edge. It's time for Fezzik Fridays.
Wow. See, Krack has a cool intro, but he doesn't have a voiceover with the intro.
You're just trying to make me happy.
Yeah. How you doing, man? You good?
Krack made me happy. He had a big day yesterday.
All right, we got to talk about this. You want to talk about this first?
Sure.
Okay. I brought it up earlier. So for those, again, this is kind of inside Vegas, but it's not inside Vegas because it's when any kind of good promotion comes up, you know, as bettors who want to make money, it is sort of incumbent upon us to try to take advantage of this. So Virgin, which is down Harmon, right? So just off Strip to the
Former
east.
Hard
Rock, where, again, I walk in the building and it's
Your
like,
spot,
I love this place. I don't go very often, but they did no juice yesterday, same day March Madness spreads, and they do it today again. No juice, same day March Madness spreads. It ends today. 2 days, that's it.
And forever.
What's that? And forever. This is what I said earlier. It's going to be, they're going to get so killed on this that they're never going to do it again.
So there's precedent for this. It's been done twice that I know of in Vegas.
Yeah.
They did it at station casinos one time. We're still trying to figure out what happened, and they got crushed. And to their credit, Circa knew they were going to lose, but I think if you ask them...
Wait, you just said Circa, not Circa.
Circa did it.
Opening.
When they opened, they had one day of the second one of Vig Free, and they knew they were going to lose.
Yeah.
But even they would, I think, would tell you, they never anticipated how terrible, that they would do. Yes, this is the third time I'm aware of it.
Now, so the reason is not just because it's no juice. It's because that it creates, and we alluded to this with Krack yesterday, it creates opportunities where you can bet a team, you can bet a plus 3.5 and a minus 3 on the other side. So you're essentially risk-free betting over there. And so eventually those will land accordingly. And it's just like for bettors, it should be, everybody should be there. And you were shocked. Maybe you weren't shocked, but you had a takeaway from the lack of a crowd there yesterday.
Yeah, so I had two takeaways, but the like you said, one of them was that we hear all the time about, there's hundreds of pro bettors and they're everywhere and the like, and there just aren't that many of them. Because think about this. We talk about the importance of getting the best number and shopping and everything else. Well, why wouldn't everyone be at Virgin? Even if you got the worst number by half a point, playing at minus 100 is better than getting an extra half point and playing at minus 110. It's very, very close, but it's still better. So they got the best number on both sides. You would think it would be like I'm an old movies thing. Pink Panther Strikes Again. There's like Oktoberfest. Every assassin in the world is descending upon Oktoberfest trying to kill Clouseau. And it should be that way at the Virgin. And there's, like you said, there's like 40 guys there.
Tops. 40 tops. Yeah. It was just, by the way, it was so interesting just being at the window there, and with no juice. You're like, here's 1,000. Now I get back 1,000 for everyone. So everything was so, perfectly, wow, if only life was like this every day with no juice kind of thing.
And to put this in mathematical terms, if you're a drunk baby blindly betting, you're at minus 4.54%. All right. That same drunk baby that's randomly playing plays is at 0%. So it's like a 4.5% promotion. So let's put this in blackjack terms. Imagine blackjack paid 5-2 instead of 3-2. Mm-hmm. That's about the equivalent. Can you imagine what would happen if they had a blackjack 5-2 promo? People would fly in from Russia to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to should I save the Krack part for when Krack is here next week, or should we bring this up here?
sure, bring it up. I haven't heard the full story, so I want to hear it.
Well,
too.
okay. So yesterday I go there right after the show. I'm making bets. I'm about to leave. Krack, or I text Krack to be like, oh my God, this was amazing, whatever. And he's like, oh, I'm upstairs. Come upstairs.
Party.
And he's like, you know where, it's that one escalator, because we lived there, for God's sakes, basically. So there was a whole area where there was supposed to be a party, and apparently this place is never packed with anybody. It's empty, right? They don't use this facility very often, but there was a party with food catered. It was great, and we were having a great time watching games. He was fielding all of your just frantic, go get this right now kind of thing, because that's you. You're puppeteering all kinds of stuff, not just with him.
Not the word I'd use. But.
I'm going with puppeteering. Anyway, so at some point in the day, I'm like, okay, well, I'm leaving, right? So I go, and, I don't think anything of it. And then later in the day, Krack texts me. He goes, you got to call me. He goes, so I'm like, okay, what happened? So he says, oh, my God, when you left, everything started happening. I'm like, what are you talking about? And because when you're at the Hard Rock, I'm like, what are you talking about? What did happen over there? So he said that, they descended on him. The folks at Virgin descended on him.
Security?
Not security, but it could have gotten there. Mm-hmm. But they came to him, and as Krack was telling him, we'll talk to him about this next week. But as he was telling the story, they came to him aggressively, right? Never politely. They came to him aggressively, and they're like, one of the guys that he knew was telling Krack that he was getting heat from above him. They're basically like, they were going to kick him out because apparently the limit was 3 dimes per bet. Now, this is not written anywhere. None of us knew that, right? Mm-hmm. So Steve, and here's the thing. Stevie's the reason for all this, because Stevie is telling Krack to bet more on something.
Go.
So Krack unknowingly bets another 3 dimes on one of your plays that you were giving him.
There's no rules.
Well, okay, but apparently, so apparently they saw this from this, eye in the sky, and they want to kick him out of it. And Krack is just pissed. Like, he's like, I wish you would throw me out now, right? Because it's like, it's not written anywhere. And the irony of the story is, this is what they were mad about. They were mad about him betting double on the same team, as opposed to the thing I was just talking about earlier, which is getting sided on stuff, which they're completely unaware of, apparently.
It reminds me of like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Gene Wilder is like, he broke the rules. He stole fizzy lifting drinks. He bet twice so he doesn't get the chocolate. He loses. Good day, sir.
Oh my
Good
God.
day.
So spitting halfway towards me, Steve. It's okay. The thing, but imagine also, who has promoted this more than anybody is Krack being on this show. Krack was with Patrick Everson, promoting the whole thing that they were doing. No
free
juice.
Social media.
Yeah, free social media.
And he's about to get
get walked out of the joint for the crime of betting more.
Yeah, and just for 30 seconds on, and it drives me crazy as a bettor seeing these bookmakers. Yeah. It's okay to deal. You're going to lose regardless, but when you deal No-Vig, you got to deal No-Vig pricing. So specifically, you don't ping pong between 3 and 3.5. You deal -3, -105,
yes,
+3, +105. You find the equilibrium point, because otherwise, if you just keep going back and forth, you're just giving the bettors a free roll to kick your teeth in. And what's funny is there's not one game landed on the number. Wisconsin was sitting on 19, almost landed 17.
Almost.
And all it takes is one.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden you're staring at, we got 50,000 in action and 25,000 pushed and 25,000 beat us. Well,
that's what happened yesterday. So Krack will tell us all about it on Thursday. But I was surprised, like you, that there weren't more people there. But then I wasn't surprised after thinking about it, because it's what we've always said, which is there's a lot of big talkers, right? A lot of people who say they do this. But you wonder if it was all legit. Even if it wasn't them personally, they would have their runners there or somebody.
They'd have a representative. And for years, famously, I'm in town for 20 years. Frank B. Like, whenever there's a really good promo, and it could be blackjack, video poker, sports betting, it was frightening how I'd show up and there was Frank B. He always knew about it, and he knew about it. And so there's like 5 guys like that, Bad Cutter and some other guys, and like a Goose. And like, where are these? Where are all these other, big talkers about, get the best of the number, have lots of outs, and they're yard virgin, and they're not there.
Wow. Got the old feels back in that building, though. That was it was fun to be there, though, nonetheless. So that was what we do. That's what happened yesterday. Stevie has done what he does from time to time. Most famously, he laid minus 4,500 on Purdue against Fairleigh Dickinson a couple years ago in the 116, and we know how that went. Well, Stevie's at it again today. We'll talk about that, among other things. And then Dr. Bob was just on. You had something to say about Dr. Bob? Other things to talk about. Oh, what did we learn from March Madness yesterday that Stevie feels we should think about moving forward with all of our bets? All of that and more with Fezzik Fridays right here on A Numbers Game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. You like the early unders in these games, generally.
Generally, but it hasn't been working, and I gave up on it. It's like the first half, the first four in Dayton, and then the first two games yesterday. The first half went over in all six, and I said, "The heck with this!"
And kind of easily, right, in most of them.
Yeah, it makes me wonder. I know, like in prior years, they've used a new basketball. Mm-hmm. And people are like, the feel is like just a little bit different, and it throws off the players. And I wonder if they changed that because that was a cash cow to play first half unders for years in every tournament.
Well, we'll see if that one works out for her. I know what you haven't given up on is laying a big price on a money line on a big favorite, obviously. That's why the money line is as big as it is. And we have another example of that today. You famously, for those who are unfamiliar with Stevie, a couple years ago in the 116 game, he went minus 4,500 on Zach Edey and the Purdue Boilermakers, and they, of course, ended up in a historical upset at the hands of number 16 seeded Fairleigh Dickinson. And you were taking all kinds of incoming on Twitter because you lost this. I remember there was like a close call right after it where you did it again on some other team.
DePaul, Seton Hall,
That's right.
or no, it was Villanova. Yeah.
But your point is, forget everybody. Maybe you didn't use the word forget. The math is the math, and the math works.
I'm like Mona in The Incredibles. Oh, darling, that was 2 years ago. Forget about that. The pajamas you're wearing. I haven't lost one of these big money lines in 2 years, and yesterday went 2-0. With the number one seeds cruising along. I got some texts when Auburn was struggling, like at the end of the first. Here we go.
Yeah. Krack and I might have mentioned something to ourselves.
Yeah. So today, the best one's Duke, and like at Profit X, you can, Abrams, great author of, but how much did you lose? And he was like, I just was able to bet, 50 to win $1 on Profit X. So a lot of square ball bettors. Think about this. They're told if you bet the money line on every dog, you make money in the big dance. So can't exclude Duke's opponents. I got to put them in, and that drives the number to the point where you can get Duke at less than minus 100 to win $1, and Duke's going to win like 99.7, maybe 99.3%. Elihu and I are arguing about the exact amount, but as long as it's above 99%, risk 100 to win $1. So, public service, don't bet more than 5% of your sports betting bankroll on any bet, no matter how good it is. So don't go crazy on this, but, it's enough to make lunch with.
So, you are laying what today exactly on Duke?
I laid, my average is like, dollar cost average is like minus 8,200 on Duke.
Okay,
minus 8,200. I'll lose the same as I lost on Purdue, which was a lot.
What percentage of the audience just heard that are like, oh man, I hope he loses this? Because
it really is remarkable, like the hatred of all the big. Because I'm just giving you good information, and like what's interesting is I'm driving in, and you guys are we sure all four number ones aren't going to make it to the Final Four? So think about this.
Yeah.
Duke's a 32-point favorite. I don't think that this is the hurdle Edwin Moses is going to trip over as he goes to win the race.
Yeah. So this is just a sort of for the newer bettors. Let's just do it with an easier number. So if you're betting a minus 150 favorite, right? The 60% is the conversion on that.
Break-even point. Yeah.
So it's the break-even point. That's the strike price. So in other words, to be profitable, to make that bet, you would have had to have assessed that it is higher than 60%, that minus 150 favorite will get home, therefore it triggers a bet. Now, maybe not by an inkling, but by enough that it would trigger a bet, right? So 60% would be the break-even, the strike price for that. Minus 150 makes it easy. For something that is a cartoonish, and the more the higher the money line goes, the higher the break-even becomes incrementally with every dime that you add, all the way up to these cartoonish ones that you're doing. But your point is, it's still math. And even though that one moment like Purdue can happen, if you're hitting the next 99 of those, right, the math is still working out for you.
And Purdue was a 23-point favorite, all right? And 23-point favorites win 99% of the time. Duke's a 32-point favorite.
So, again, now mathematically, and as we sit here, this is the difference between theory and actual practice. We're here on a Friday morning. The games haven't started yet, right? So we get it as we're talking here in a quiet moment where nothing is happening and we're doing the theory of it and the math of it. We understand this conversation. I understand. Listeners understand. But in practice, right? In practice, we're talking about practice now.
We're talking practice.
Yeah, but this is
we're not talking real bets.
I'm talking, well, this time.
This time it is real
This
bets.
time by in practice, I'm talking about the real bets. For the actual individual who understands what you're talking about in theory, right? Mathematically, they understand it. But to actually go ahead and make that bet regardless, because this is what Krack and I were talking about yesterday. Like, we get it, but we're still not doing that.
And there are people
right?
that go to the bank and they put $100,000 in the bank, and it's going to take them 3 months to earn $1,000, okay? As opposed to taking 3 hours to make essentially the same wager, because Duke's not losing today.
Right.
I mean, of course, they have a 0.3% chance to lose. I mean, it could happen. Thank goodness the ball, I like that the ball is round. You know, they always say that. Oh, yes. The football is shaped funny, you know, but the round ball is much more predictable. Yes.
But you get that you are more of a, let's face it, Stevie, you got a robot brain. You're an actuary. So you are a very small percentage of human beings in the sports betting world. There's many who understand what you're saying, but there's very few like yourself that would actually make this bet.
And the key is just don't bet more than 5% of your bankroll. Again, if you surveyed 100 geeks from the Ivy League stat geeks, and they asked, you know, all 100, they would all agree it has positive expectations.
I just want the admission from you that you understand why people are more, that the average person is still, despite the theory, they're like, what I'm saying is don't go crazy on that person.
If they choose not to do it. Absolutely not. Hey, I got bear claws, and I got shamed by the Chris Bear Felica for doing so.
What can we learn from day one of March Madness, and what does he have today? Fezzik, next. It's time for our G-Bank Best Bets of the Day. Let's get those recapped before we move along. G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. I'll start with mine. I'm on Grand Canyon today. Obviously, I have 10 more bets in the VSiN Bracket Challenge, but these are actual bets in the account. Grand Canyon plus the 11. I got that early against the University of Maryland. North Carolina, the Heels -1 as they try to become the 12th. Is it the 12th or I think the 12th first four team to make the round of 32 in the last 13 years. Xavier trying to do the same. And Liberty plus the points. Dr. Bob did not like the Liberty play, by the way. He's on the opposite side there with Oregon. I also have McNeese State I added tomorrow in the round of 32. I got McNeese State plus the points against Purdue, the Boilermakers of Purdue. And then tennis, Miomir Kekmanovic. Only one play today in tennis after a nice, tidy 3-1 yesterday with a plus 170 dog hitting. I'm on Miomir Kekmanovic plus 122 versus the Norwegian Casper Ruud. Also, with our best bets today, Kelly Baidalan. He's on the Rockets, laying the points in the NBA. The NBA having the absolute audacity to still play games during March Madness. Can you believe that? Rockets -5 tonight. He's on Michigan State. He's on Sparty, laying the 17. He, too, is on Grand Canyon. He's got a couple bets on Grand Canyon, plus the points and sprinkle a little on the money line. He's on Carolina as well, the Heels today. And he's on Memphis, plus the points against Colorado State. A lot of different viewpoints on that game and different bets. Stevie Fezzik is alongside. We'll sort of telegraph the pass with some of his plays here, though. Stevie, would you like to talk about these briefly? St. Mary's minus the points.
So how good would it be if we could get in our time machine and go back and bet Gonzaga against Georgia? That would be cool, right?
Yes, it would.
Right, because obviously the line's completely wrong and the Zags rolled over them. Well, maybe we can. You know why? The same game's being played. We've got another middling SEC team in Vandy, similar to Georgia. And we've got another top team in the West Coast Conference in St. Mary's. It's a very similar matchup. So I just saw this movie. Hopefully we see the movie again. St. Mary's goes ahead and lays the wood to Vandy. And I might add, I love looking at how conferences are doing. And right now, you got to be out of your mind to back a Mountain West team.
Hold that thought. You also have 3 bets tomorrow. You're taking the points. with Creighton against Auburn, with Gonzaga, and with UCLA.
Yeah, and I think my favorite would be the Zags. I really think that the Zags are, we talk about all these ones going through all the way. I'm not sure Houston's going to get to the Sweet 16. The Zags could conceivably win this game. The Zags should be a 3 seed, and they're seeded 8th. It's just funny. The committee, just, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with their seeding.
Okay. Chris Felica, he had college hoops plays as well. He's on Ole Miss against Carolina. He's oppo us on Carolina. And then Texas Tech laying the points tomorrow in college hoops in the round of 32. He's also got horse racing bet good cheer in the Fairgrounds Oaks. That's tomorrow in the 11th race. And then a parlay in soccer, the Wrexham Stockport under 2.5 goals, along with the Walsall double chance that will pay you -102, or that's what you will lay, -102 on that soccer parlay. And then I think that's it, right? No, Jason Weingarten, not to be outdone. Jason Weingarten is on Carolina against Ole Miss. On the money line, he's on Grand Canyon. He sprinkled a little on the Grand Canyon money line against Maryland, +450. And then we promised we would repeat these because his audio went bad. But he has, now that he is engaged and he's got that behind him, he can focus on baseball. He's on Marcelo Mayer to win the AL Rookie of the Year at 40-1, and Tomoyuki Sugano to win the AL Cy Young at 300-1. That might not even be listed in some spots. Tomoyuki Sugano from Jason to win the American League Cy Young. Stevie writing that down now frantically. G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN, as always, we recap every show's bets at the end of the show with all of our bets from every show host and guest. G-Bank upping the ante with up to a $750 bonus for new G-Bank Visa Signature Card customers. First new customers who spend $1,000 on eligible purchases, that's purchases within 90 days from account opening, receive a $250 bonus. In addition, if you spend $50,000 on gaming and sports app loads within 30 days of account opening, you'll receive another $500 bonus. That's potentially a $750 bonus. Apply now at VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSiN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply. Stevie, by the way, we have a couple tweets here I want to get to real quick. Mike Alvarez, I really like all of Stevie's info and movie references. As a bald, he says, I hate Stevie because of his hair, though. He's jealous of your hair.
There's a lot of dye in there.
Jealous of your hair. Matt Trudel, Gill, I think Fezzik pulled another moneyline bet the week before last at -4,500 and won that one too. Go get him, Fez. Cash those tickets. And Chris Heath reminds you, though, it's still an elliptical object, the basketball, and can roll any direction.
Ouch.
Just worried about your bet. That's all he's saying. That. And Jason, Ice Cold Gambler, says, by the way, Chris Heath also liked your Willy Wonka. He says, great analogy and better impression. Ice Cold Gambler, Jason says, so Gill, will Krack be back at Virgin today, or is he already 86th from there? I say he goes and hammers them on the last day of No-Vig. Let's go, Krack, man. He is going back. He's absolutely going back. And Stevie will be, letting him know. By the way, Krack texted me. He says, be sure to let them know, because I neglected this detail from that story. He made the additional bet on that same team 2 hours later. It's not like he did it like...
They had time to move it.
Yeah, they had time to...
And they chose not to.
And they probably did move it a few times.
By the way, they checking IDs, or can anyone go into that VIP area with the...
They're checking IDs. You don't get the No-Vig without giving your ID.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, like, you were in the special party room, though, right?
Oh, yeah, they're checking IDs.
Okay, so I got to do the No-Vig in the...
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't know me. I don't think they like me over there.
Oh, what a shocker. Someone doesn't like you?
No, it's blackjack. Yeah.
So you mentioned something when we're talking about Gonzaga. They went out to a 27-3 lead over Georgia. Then it was 30-5. I mean, Georgia was a complete no-show. So you mentioned in your St. Mary's pick tomorrow, you feel that's the same situation. It's for you. It's I heard middling SEC teams. I heard Mountain West disdain. What is sort of your takeaway conference-wise then?
Well, I always try to look at the early reports because remember, these teams, they played nothing but conference games since early January. Mm-hmm. And the Mountain West has a historically horrendous against the spread record. Going back to like the last 90 games, they've only covered a third of their games. And they've just been terrible. You look at these notes like the Utah State against UCLA, and there was another Mountain West team, San Diego State, to start the tournament. And at some point you say, I cannot back this conference. They've been historically terrible, and they've been terrible this year. The ACC, oh my goodness, Louisville, complete no-show. Clemson, no-show. We have to be concerned about Duke. I bet North Carolina, and I'm not nearly as high after seeing what just transpired by the number 2 and number 3 teams that both won 90% of their conference games and couldn't play a lick here so far.
Forrest Lehman cautions you, though, on Twitter. Forrest Lehman says, yes, Fez, you do get a second chance. It's exactly the same except for the minor detail that Gonzaga and St. Mary's couldn't be more polar opposite in the way they play. So he's not buying your
yeah, well, one more thing. I'll go to Santa Clara, the number 4 team of the West Coast Conference, just completely destroyed a pretty good Cal Riverside team. It's in the NIT. What does it matter, Fez? Well, again, the whole idea of, hey, here's a conference. They all play against each other for 2.5 months, and that conference is the recent results against non-conference foes in March has been very strong.
All right, repeat your bets again, sir, on St. Mary's tomorrow.
Yeah, so I'm on St. Mary's today. Minus 4.5.
Yeah.
But hopefully we get a carbon copy.
Yeah.
But they slow plotting St. Mary's team instead of a styling razzle-dazzle Gonzaga team. And then on Saturday, I'm on UCLA plus 4.5. Krack, by the way, alerted me to this one. So kudos to the Krack man. Playing Tennessee. I've got Creighton plus, I think it's 9.5 now, against Auburn. And I'm on the Zags plus 5, and they will upset Houston tomorrow.
Yeah, I am on McNeese tomorrow plus the points. I'm thinking about adding Creighton as well. I didn't know why that didn't make our list, but I added that as well. Before we go, real quick, you got 30 seconds to a minute here. Bob was on before you, Dr. Bob, and you had a point to make because I know the notion of sports betting Hall of Fames sticks in your craw.
Yeah, we talk about what a lousy job the committee does. And I think Spanky does a great job for the most part on his Sports Betting Hall of Fame. There's another one out there that's no good, and it's just the Administration Paper Pushers Hall of Fame. But, I mean, Dr. Bob is so much better at this than all these guys. I have great respect for Richie B. and Nick Bogdanovich and a whole bunch of the old school bookmakers. But, I mean, Dr. Bob not being in the Hall of Fame, he single-handedly was moving all the lines. I talked about in the Wall Street Journal. It has a documented, winning record against widely available numbers. He's up like 1,000 units. He's like literally, you could make the case that he's the best in the world at this. Mm-hmm. The best in the world. I would put Michael Jordan in the Basketball Hall of Fame. That's just me. But I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame. Someone needs to do some explaining to me.
I'm explaining. I'm with you on that. And by the way, great dude on top of all that. And those are not plentiful in our little corner.
My number one criticism is he works too hard. He'll stay up all night going through the entire card. And if it's a play, he's going to give out. He doesn't care, whether it's 3 plays or 38 plays.
Thanks for watching, but don't let the betting insights end here. If you want an extra edge this football season, you can get a month of VSiN Pro right now, absolutely free. That means access to our betting insights, analysis, and tools like our betting splits at 0 cost to you. Click the link in the description to sign up.